In today's video, I'm checking out the Xbox ROG Ally X that was released here in the UK less than 2 weeks ago. So in the box you get the console, and in this box you get some manuals. You get the 65 watt charger, basically the same charger as the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. You get the rest of the charger. In this you also get the kickstand thingy, which you can place on the table and basically put the ROG Ally X like this if you want to. The ROG Xbox Ally X has the AMD Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme processor with the 890M iGPU. It has 24 GB of LPDDR5X RAM with 8000 MHz, 1 TB of M.2 SSD, 2280, 7-inch 1080p IPS up to 500 nits, 16:9 ratio with AMD FreeSync Premium VRR and an 80 Wh battery capacity. On the ROG Xbox Ally X, you get the power button, which is also a fingerprint scanner. You get a 3.5mm headphone jack. You get your micro SD card slot, the volume up and down, a USB-C 3.2 port, and a USB-C 4 port. You don't get any other ports. It's all at the top here. The controls on the Xbox Ally X are among the best I've ever used. You get 2 full-size analog joysticks. These, I believe, are not Hall effect. However, they're among the best I've ever used in any handheld, which I'll talk about later. You get full-size buttons. Now, they are quite clicky, which I'm not a big fan of, but some people prefer this. You get Hall effect triggers, and you get your shoulder buttons. You also get 2 buttons on the back here, the M1 and the M2, which if you hold the console like this, can easily be pressed. The D-pad is also one of the best you can get on any handheld. If you are playing fighting games, this is one of the best D-pads you can have, because all the different directions can easily be pressed, up, down, left, right, and also the diagonals. Unlike in other controllers where you only have up, down, left, right, and pressing the diagonal is quite difficult, but in this one they've designed it in such a way that the diagonals are also very easily pressed. Overall, among the best controls I've ever used. Now, the joysticks are probably the best joysticks I've ever used on a handheld, as good as the Steam Deck. They're not very loose, which is something that a lot of people complain about. They have just the right amount of resistance. Now, on the original ROG Ally, the joysticks were quite loose, so Asus have really improved on that. And also on the MSI Claw 8AI Plus, the joysticks are a bit on the loose side, but on the Steam Deck and also on the Xbox ROG Ally X, they have just the right amount of resistance. Now, this is quite important because when it comes to first-person shooters, you want to be really precise with the movement when you're aiming, and these joysticks, I can tell you right now, is the best in terms of precision and aiming. Overall, the best controls I've used, just as good as the Steam Deck OLED, if not better. The software on the Xbox Ally X is the best software you can get on any Windows handheld. Armoury Crate has come a long way when it comes to the original one released on the original ROG Ally. Actually, Armoury Crate was also available on Asus laptops for a long time, so it has a long history, and let me tell you, it's the best software you can get on a Windows handheld. You get so many options when it comes to the software that it's quite overwhelming. You get the overlay, which has pretty much everything you need on the go, so you can change your CPU boost and you can turn it on and off, and this is probably the easiest way to turn this on and off. You have the resolution, the refresh rate, you can end task, you can change the video settings, like how the screen looks. I just leave it at default. You get RIS, which I highly recommend you guys to turn on, as it makes the game look much sharper. You can control the TDP through here, so you get 4 default options. You have Windows, which is 17 watts. You have silent, which is 13 watts. Performance also seems to be 17 watts. You get your turbo, which is at 25 watts. Now you can also adjust the TDP manually. You also have the Armory Crate SE software, which gives you all these different types of settings. You can go to the update center and update everything through here without having to go to external sources to update. You also get some really nice gyro controls on the Xbox Ally X. I have tested the gyro and I can tell you it's one of the best experiences I've had in terms of the gyroscope. It's just as good as the Steam Deck OLED, which has incredible gyro, and this makes the aiming on first-person shooters much better. Now the MSI Claw 8's gyro is incredibly bad, almost unusable, so very happy with what Asus have done in terms of gyro. In terms of the software, it's among the best you can get on any handheld. It may not be as good as what you get on the Steam OS, on the Steam Deck. However, on a PC handheld running Windows, this is the best you can get. When you press the overlay button, you can also control very easily the brightness and the volume. And if you go to Armory Crate, you have a performance tab, and if you click on this, you have a manual option. So in the manual option, you can change the TDP anywhere from 7 watts to 35 watts. Now I believe 35 watts is the first for the ROG Ally, because in previous handhelds I think they only went up to about 30 watts. So on the Xbox Ally X, you can get up to 35 watts. If you open the overlay in here, you get the option to change the control method, change the control mode, which is right here, to desktop. Now, when you change the control mode to desktop, basically it makes the right analog stick into a mouse, so you can control the mouse like this. And let me tell you, that is extremely precise and accurate, because it detects even the smallest movements. So let me show you guys. Let's say I want to select all of these icons, so I can just, let me move the FPS overlay, so I can very easily control anything I want. And this is actually quite comfortable and easy to use. I really like using the mouse like this if I need to. So yeah guys, a very good mouse mode with the Xbox Ally X. Overall, the software is among the best. Everything on this handheld, when it comes to the controls, the design and the software, is top notch, is the best you can get on any PC handheld. So what you get on the Xbox Ally X is the start and select buttons, and on top of the start and select buttons, you get the dedicated buttons for the Xbox Ally X for the software. So this right one at the top opens Armory Crate, and this left one at the top opens the overlay. But with the Xbox Ally X, as you guys can see, you also get a Xbox button. This Xbox button, I believe, by default, if you press it, it opens up the Xbox game bar, which is quite similar to overlay, which can also bring the Xbox game bar quite easily. So yeah guys, you do get the Xbox button, which you do not get on the original ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. The screen on the Xbox Ally X is one of the best LCD panels you can get. It's a 7-inch 1080p with a screen ratio of 16:9, 500 nits of brightness, 120 Hz with the VRR. The colors, the brightness and the sharpness on the screen is amazing. The viewing angles is also not too bad. Now, of course, this is not as good as the OLED panels on the Steam Deck OLED and the Onexplayer F1 Pro OLED, but for a LCD panel, this is one of the best you can get. Now, of course, I do wish the Xbox Ally X was 8 inches, so I'm quite disappointed that they have used the same 7-inch LCD panel that they used in the original ROG Ally. Another thing to note is that on this you get a glossy panel, and I believe the ROG Ally X had a slight matte finish, which was better when it comes to reflections. So not sure why they've decided to make it glossy. However, it's still a really good LCD panel, and as you can see, everything looks amazing. The colors, the sharpness, the brightness, everything is amazing on this handheld. Now let me go ahead and decrease the brightness from minimum all the way to maximum. So in terms of the colors, the brightness, the contrast, everything is amazing. So yeah guys, you won't be disappointed with the screen quality. The only thing is, like I said, it's 7 inches, and now we have handhelds such as the Switch 2 and the Claw 8 and the Lenovo Legion Go 2, which have 8 inches. Well, the Lenovo Legion Go 2 has 8.8 inches, so we are heading towards bigger screens. So this is probably one of the biggest downsides of the Xbox Ally X, is the 7-inch screen size. But other than that, an amazing screen, one of the best in the market right now. The speakers on the Xbox Ally X are some of the best I've ever used in any handheld. They give you a really nice 3D sound, so any music coming from the left or the right speaker actually feels like it's coming from your left or your right. And this immersive sound is unlike any other handheld I've ever used. Now the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus also have some of the best speakers, but the ones on these are just as good, if not even better than what you get on the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. So I'm just going to play a clip. Now by the way, the speakers on this are Dolby Atmos, so I'm just going to play a clip for you guys and let you be the judge of the sound. The volume is at 50%. Hollow Knight Silksong is a very easy to run game on the Xbox Ally X. It's a very easy to run game on pretty much any handheld. So I'm just going to check how low we can go with the TDP while getting 120 FPS. So the Ally X does a good job of lowering the TDP. So as you guys can see, even though I've set the TDP to 18 watts, it's only using about 6.8 watts with a total battery power usage of about 12 watts. So you're getting around 7 hours of battery life if you play like this. Now it's running at 720p. Let's have a look at the settings. So 720p, I'll turn VSync off. Frame cap is 120, and basically having the highest settings, this is as high as you can go. So at the highest settings, 720p, 120 FPS. Yeah, so we're using about 12.9 watts in total, getting about 7 hours of battery life. Now I will just go ahead and see if I can lower the TDP even more. So using motion assistant, I do have videos using the software in my channel, so do check it out. So I'm just going to lower the TDP to about 5 watts for the CPU. So lowering the TDP to 5 watts drops the FPS to about 70. So still very, very playable. Getting total power of about 11 watts and now going less than 10 watts. So with these settings, lowering the TDP to 5 watts, you can get over 8 hours of battery life, because with the 80 watt hour battery capacity, 80 divided by 9, that's more than 8 hours of battery life. Now what you can do is you can lock the frame rate to 60, and you know, this game is more than playable like this. It's using less than 10 watts and now it's using even less than 9 watts, so you can get over 8, maybe close to 9 or 10 hours of battery life with this game. So amazing efficiency on the Z2 Extreme chip on the Xbox Ally X. Black Myth Wukong, the benchmark tool on the Xbox Ally X. So the settings I'm using is 720p, with motion blur off. Super resolution to about 90. FSR with frame generation on and everything on low. I'm using 28 watts, and let's see how the game performs. So as you guys can see, we're getting over 90 FPS, into the high 90s, and even into the 100 FPS, 101 FPS, 102. So it seems like it's doing very well. Let's see. So average of 95 FPS, maximum of 112 FPS. All the settings are here, as you guys can see. So what we have is motion blur off, ray tracing off, frame generation is on, with super resolution at 90, and FSR is being used. So at 28 watts, this is amazing performance on the Xbox Ally X. Hogwarts Legacy on the Xbox Ally X. So currently I am in the indoor area, and in this indoor area I get around 75 FPS. Now let me go to a more difficult area. So in this area with more characters and a lot more going on, the FPS drops to about 65 FPS. I'm using 20 watts with the battery drawing in about 33 watts. Settings. Everything is on ultra, so the highest settings. Resolution is 720p. I'm using Intel XeSS with XeSS on quality. And over 60 FPS, so very playable at these settings. Tekken 8 on the Xbox Ally X. So let's have a look at the settings. Using 720p. With cat mole upscaling at 85% scale. Everything on medium. And let's see how the game performs with these settings. I'm using 18 watts TDP just to see how the game performs. So 720p at 18 watts. Let's see how the game performs with these settings. I will be using the D-pad. So at 18 watts, I'm getting almost a locked 60 FPS. The GPU is only used about 80%. So this means that there shouldn't be any problems getting a locked 60 FPS with just 18 watts. So that's very good performance for this game on the Z2 Extreme chip. The D-pad is really nice, very responsive. The game looks really good on the Xbox Ally X, and the performance is amazing. So definitely very playable on the Xbox Ally X. Cronos, the New Dawn, is currently running at 30 watts on the Xbox Ally X. So let's go ahead and look at the settings. So using 720p with FSR 3.1 on balanced, frame generation is on, and everything is on low with motion blur off. So at 30 watts on the Xbox Ally X, Cronos New Dawn does an incredibly good job running over 120 FPS on average. This is of course with frame generation on. It feels very smooth and very responsive. Let me turn frame generation off. With frame generation off, I am getting over 60 FPS, in the high 60s. So the performance is incredibly good at 30 watts plugged in. Now the Xbox Ally X can do up to 35 watts, however 30 watts is more than good enough. So yeah, this game is very playable at these settings on the Xbox Ally X. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Xbox Ally X at 30 watts plugged in. I'm using 720p. With dynamic resolution scaling set to 100 at the maximum and 50% at the minimum. Using mostly low details with texture resolution at medium and TAAU anti-aliasing. let's see how the game performs with these settings. So playing in this village, which is one of the hardest areas to run in the game, as you guys can see, at 30 watts I'm getting over 50 FPS, which is absolutely amazing because this is a very hard to run game. So in this area, over 50 FPS, going into the 40s sometimes, but overall very good performance. Now let me tell you, this is amazing performance to have on a handheld. This game is very difficult to run. Now this is without frame generation, so even with frame generation off, you can very easily play this game. So even with frame generation off, this game is very playable on the Xbox Ally X. The Asus Xbox ROG Ally X has a battery capacity of 80 watt-hour. So running Cronos The New Dawn at the silent mode, as you guys can see, this uses about 13 watts. And as you can see right here, the battery is using in total about 23 watts. So in silent mode, the Xbox Ally X, since it has an 80 watt battery hour, since it has an 80 watt-hour battery capacity, that's 80 divided by 23, and that should give us about 3.5 hours of battery life on the silent mode. If I change the power to performance mode, which uses about 17 watts, so let's wait for the Xbox Ally X to start using 17 watts, because on the performance mode, when you set it to 17 watts, it uses more than 17 watts. As you can see, it's at performance mode, but it's using 21 watts. And at 21 watts, it's using a total battery of about 32 watts. So I will just use 32 for the calculation. So 80 watt-hour battery capacity divided by 32. And that gives us 2.5 hours of battery life on the performance mode. On the turbo mode, which uses about 25 watts. So let's see how it performs. So on turbo mode, even though it's set to 25 watts, it's actually using 30 watts with the battery using 42.6 watts. So I'll just use 43 for the calculation. So in turbo mode, that's 80 divided by 43. You are getting just under 2 hours of battery life. So the battery life on the Xbox Ally X is really good. You can use motion assistant to set exactly how many watts you want to use, because on the default overlay, like I showed you guys, even though you're supposed to be getting less TDP, the system is actually using more. So in order to get exactly the TDP that you want, get this motion assistant app. I do have videos on my channel, so do check it out. So let's say I want to use 12 watts. I'll just click on 12, go back, wait for the game to start using 12 watts. As you can see, it has now started using exactly 12 watts. So this is a great software if you guys want to maximize your experience on the Xbox Ally X. So the battery life on the Xbox Ally X is among the best. I'm currently running Resident Evil 4 the remake, and I'm using the silent mode, which should give us about 13 watts. So running this game at 13 watts, as you can see over here on the left, the temperature is about 50 degrees Celsius, and from the distance that I'm holding this at, I don't hear any fan noise. I will put the microphone next to the fan so you guys can see if there's any fan noise. So literally silent on the silent mode. Now I'm going to put the performance mode on now so we can see what kind of fan noise and temperatures we get. So let's have a look. So increasing the TDP to the performance mode, which should use about 17 watts. I will just let the temperatures go up for a bit and let the fan noise kick in if there is any. So as you can see, the temperature has gone up to about 55 degrees from 50 degrees. So just a 5 degrees increase when you go up from silent to performance mode. And it looks like it's staying at 55 degrees. Actually, this is incredibly good. One of the best coolings I've seen in any handheld. I can barely hear any fan noise from the distance I'm sitting at. It's barely audible. I'll just put the microphone again now so you can hear for yourself. So it's barely audible at the performance mode. Now I will go ahead and increase the TDP from 17 watts to the turbo, which is about 25 watts. So on the turbo mode, as you guys can see, it's using 25 watts. I will just let the temperatures go up for a bit and let the fans kick in if there is any fan noise. So now in a very quiet room with the volume at 0, I can hear a little bit of fan noise. It's not that loud. So the temperatures, as you can see, has gone up to 63 degrees Celsius. So from 55 at performance to 63 degrees at turbo. And to be honest with you, at 25 watts, 63 degrees Celsius is amazing. This might actually beat the MSI Claw 8 AI in terms of cooling, you know, in terms of the thermals, which is insane because I thought no handhelds will be able to beat the Claw 8, but I think this might be the first handheld to beat the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus, which had the best cooling I've ever used in any handheld. So for this device, you know, to beat a bigger device is insane. I mean, I'm so happy with the cooling of this device. So the temperatures has gone up to 63 degrees Celsius, as you guys can see, and I will let you hear the fan noise at 25 watts. So to be honest with you guys, even at 25 watts, the fans are really quiet. I'm really surprised at how good the cooling is. Now on the original ROG Ally, the fans were very loud and the temperatures were some of the worst, but Asus has done such an incredible job improving the thermals and the fan noise on the ROG Ally handhelds. So on the Xbox ROG Ally X, you are getting some of the best thermals and one of the quietest fans on any handheld. So what do I think of the ROG Xbox Ally X? I think in 2025 this is one of the best handhelds you can get. I would give the Xbox Ally X a 9.3 out of 10. What I really like about the Xbox Ally X is the controls. They have the best joysticks on any handheld, just as good if not even better than the Steam Deck OLED. The software on this is the best you can get on any Windows handheld. The thermals and the cooling is, as you guys have seen, is just as good if not even better than the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. The fan noise is really great. You know, they've improved it so much compared to the original ROG Ally. It also has the best battery life you can currently get on any handheld. With an 80 watt-hour battery capacity, you can get anywhere from around 2.5 to over 8, 9 and even 10 hours of battery life in some games. The screen quality is also amazing. Even though it's an LCD, it's still very, very good. What I don't like about this handheld is the fact that it only has a 7-inch screen, which is exactly the same size as the original ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. So the fact that they've kept the same screen for all three models is kind of disappointing. Even a 7.4 inch or a 7.5 inch screen would have been sufficient. So let's hope they increase the screen size and make it an OLED for the next one. The only other negative thing I would say about this handheld is even though the performance, the Z2 Extreme chip on this handheld is very good for now, in just a couple of months, well, at the end of November, GPD is releasing the GPD Win 5, which will have the AMD Ryzen Max Plus 395 processor, which has double to triple the performance of the Z2 Extreme. So in just a couple of months, this Xbox ROG Ally X will be outdated, because with the next generation of processors from AMD, the performance will be double to triple. So although the performance of this is the best you can currently get in the market right now, in just a couple of months this will be outdated. But overall, one of the best gaming handhelds you can get if you're looking for a handheld that's extremely comfortable, has the best performance, has VRR with the best, most precise joysticks you can get. This is definitely the handheld to get in 2025. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.